Hi, this is Joyce Bullisan. You're listening to TV Confidential.
You may see the gospel in a different light. You may hear the story in a different way. Word spread quickly about our Lord. His messages and miracles were getting him a lot of attention.
Oh, Christ.
Ed Robertson, along with our guest, Kirk Taylor. As an actor, Kirk has collaborated with such varied artists as Stanley Kubrick, Spike Lee, Charles Bronson, Robin Williams, Danny Glover, Berry Gordy, and Chaka Khan. As an acting teacher, Kirk's many students include such stars as Jesse L. Martin, Karina Lombard, and Chandra Wilson. Kirk plays Simon Peter in Revival, the new musical film produced by and starring Harry Lennox that is based on the Gospel according to John. The cast of Revival also includes Chaka Khan, Michelle Williams, and Don Lewis, plus original music written by three-time Grammy nominee Molly Music. Molly Music also plays Jesus in Revival. Revival has opened in select cities across the U.S. as we speak. You can follow Kirk Taylor both on Twitter and Instagram at I am Kirk Taylor. Kirk's website, kirktaynorofficial.com. We touched on this a little earlier in our conversation, Kirk. One of the things that attracted you about playing Simon Peter in Revival is that in many respects, Peter is probably the most human of the apostles, because even though he was the rock, the foundation on which the church was built, he did deny Jesus 3 times, as the story is told. But when you think about it, the story of Peter's denial, that kind of shows the human side of Jesus, because Jesus could have said, forget this guy, he buckled when I needed him the most, and yet Jesus showed his faith in Peter.
Yes, and that kind of forgiveness is demonstrated in many ways for those who are, with those who were unrepentant and hardened, he used the law. Mm-hmm. And for those that were broken, he used grace. Mm-hmm. And the woman that was caught in the act of adultery. What a setup. How did they find? Did they wait for the moment? They didn't even bring the guy. They brought her knowing that the law of Moses said, you must stone her to death. That's the penalty. And they were trying to get him just because they knew he was too compassionate for that. They knew he was too, so the same compassion he showed Peter. So they tried to trap him because they said, we can get him to break the law of Moses and say, no, we don't keep the law of Moses. Then we can oust this guy. Mm-hmm. But instead of doing that, he basically pointed out the fact that everybody's full of sin. That's the thing. Everybody has, it says we've all fallen short of the grace of God. Nobody deserves it. So that's a great equalizer. So the woman caught in adultery or Peter, it's like, listen, it can all be forgiven. Just turn.
Yeah.
If you're alive, as King Solomon said, he said, where there's life, there is hope. Because even a living dog is better than a dead lion. I'd rather be a lion, but if it's a lion rug, I'll be the chihuahua. Mm-hmm. Okay, but because I'm alive, I have hope. And so where there's life, there's hope. And that's what Peter received. That's what Paul received, who wrote much of the New Testament, one of the great evangelists of any era. And he said at one point, because he was supervised the stoning of the first martyr, Stephen. Mm-hmm. He supervised it. He held their cloaks. Hey, hold my coat while I kill this guy. And he did.
Yeah.
He held their coats and basically approved it. And so that blood was on him. And he said later on that God forgave me, the worst, the chief of sinners, mm-hmm. to show that he would have mercy on anybody who's willing to come and live. And so that's the message that we see through Peter. As you said very well, that it shows how human he was. This is the guy that cut off the ear of the high priest. This is the guy that walked on water. This is the guy that gave the testimony that Jesus praised above every testimony. Who do men say I am? Oh, they say John the Baptist came back. Maybe you're Elijah that's supposed to come before the Messiah comes. Maybe but who do you say I am? And Peter says, you are the Christ. You're the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And he said, flesh and blood didn't reveal that, but my Father revealed it. Then 2 seconds later, Jesus says to Peter, get behind me, Satan, because he was cooperating with a different agenda. Listen, do you think Jesus wanted to live? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's why Molly Music, and thank you for correcting, I didn't know he was a 3-time Grammy nominee. That's even better. but Molly wrote a tune, Ed, called Not My Will. Now, the power of music to take an emotion and build it and develop it and extend its power is unparalleled.
Yeah.
You can see what music does to films. You turn off the soundtrack, turn off the volume, and it doesn't look like anything. Then you put it on in the musical cues. Molly wrote a song called Not My Will. And they didn't tell us. We're in the Garden of Gethsemane, which is where the olive press, where Jesus went through the cries of his humanity. He said, stay here and pray. Pray with me as I go off. And he went off to a place and he said, Father, if there's any way we could do this a different way, that I don't have to die, I don't have to drink this cup of suffering. And every time he said it, he followed it with, but not my will.
Yeah.
Your will be done. So his humanity was on full display, but yet he wrestled with that humanity to do the will of God. And so, there's great hope for all of us when we see others struggle, stumble, fall, but get restored, get healed. And that song, man, when he finished that, now they had playback, and he sang it or lip-synced it as we were laying there sleeping. They said, you're asleep in the garden, Peter, Cephas. I said, all right. So I lay down. They said, let's shoot it. Playback, action. And he started singing this song, Not My Will, But Your Will. And I tell you the truth, I literally had a puddle of tears on the floor when I got up as Peter woke up. I was devastated by that song because it really brought home that, people concentrate on Jesus' deity, and they should, but he was a man. And do you think he wanted a family? Do you think that maybe he wanted to have a life and enjoy the fruits of this world and the wonders that had been created through him? But still, he's there. Of course he did. But he was willing to sacrifice that for a greater good, an investment in the future of the world, really. I mean, this ragtag bunch of followers who you'll see, and we play them as ragtag. We are like some rough dudes. Fishermen, we're not playing. And this ragtag group, Jesus said something ridiculous, audacious. He said, this gospel that I'm teaching you guys is going to be preached in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, which was a stretch because they hated the Samaritans, and to the uttermost parts of the world. What? So the God of Israel had always planned that he would be worshipped. The one God would be worshipped around the world. And if Jesus is not the Messiah, there's no one coming. Because it was predicted during the Second Temple, he would enter the temple. So it's a powerful message, and I think the film really explores it in such a unique way because it starts off. Harry Lennox wrote it as a stage play. People know Harry from he's on the Blacklist right now. I love that show with James Spader. We've seen him in Man of Steel, Matrix, and The Five Heartbeats, one of his first films. He's wonderful in this. But this was his passion project as he had surrendered his heart to God. And he wrote it, and Dr. Holly Carter, who was one of our executive producers, she had it done on stage at their church, several seasons. Very successful. Revival. The play. Someone had the bright idea, said, well, what if we filmed it? So they tried to start off doing it just like filming a play, $200,000. And that ballooned to $500,000, which ballooned to $1 million, which ballooned to 1.5, and we won't even talk about where it is now, because I'm not supposed to say.
Okay.
But it got super, super expensive, but they still kept some of the format. So here's how unusual it is. Present-day L.A., actor walking through the street with a guitar over his shoulder, heads to a theater. On the marquee it says Revival. And basically he goes in, he's playing the role of Jesus. So it's a play. So we're filming him in the dressing room. They're having rehearsals up there. People are getting ready to start. And he, in a supernatural way, which I won't reveal, he falls into the first century. Now he is Jesus. And the play continues in the first century with people of color. And there are many who have contended that the original residents of Jerusalem were of a much more swarthy complexion than some of the Jews now from the European Jews that came over, which is fine. But they're saying that they looked a lot more like me, and I found I have Jewish ancestry but black and Jewish, so I have this interesting, different kind of look, which is good for my career. And so then it flashes back to the stage, and Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child, the former Destiny's Child group, is singing a gorgeous song about not finding the body of Jesus. Then it flashes back to the first century. Then it flashes to the future, 2050, 2060 maybe, L.A., Hollywood sign. And it continues there. So it's like, whoa, I got it. I said, wow, Harry. So this is speaking about the timelessness of this message. It works in every generation, that it crosses all culture and land. in every medium that can be used to spread this message. And so that's why I think the film is so unique, very, very unusual, and really, really special, because I think it captures some of the heart of the gospel in a way that you wouldn't expect. It's like we take some artistic liberties, like, for instance, with the Temptations of Christ. You've never seen it like this.
Mm-hmm.
Tell you that right now. You have never seen anything like this. Very, very unusual and wonderful. And then some of the music is so stirring, including that one I told you. Our song is pretty cool, the Doubting Thomas Fugue, and just what a host. Kenny Lattimore comes on board. We have such a great cast of stars. We have Wendy Raquel Robinson is in there. You mentioned Don Lewis, Roland Buck III, who's on that Chicago Med show. Anthony Azizi, a veteran actor who plays Judas, and he does, oh my gosh. Jeffrey Anderson Gunter, who people have seen in the Michael Jackson black and white video at the end and various Predator movies and things. He plays King Herod opposite Shaka Khan. And you wait until you see the scene with them, because she's trying to get the head of John the Baptist cut off, because he basically has said, you can't, it's adultery for you to marry your brother's wife. Mm-hmm. It's not right. And she was like, yeah, we're going to shut that off right there. And she convinces Jeff's character, King Herod, to get rid of John the Baptist. And so we just have such a strong group of performers, and people will recognize. They're going to recognize them from all these different projects. And listen, we didn't do it for the money, because it was an ultra low-budget feature. I won't even tell you what that pays. But we did it because we saw the possibility of greatness and wanted to be a part of it. So we became a big family. We cheered one another on set, and I think we've captured something really, really special. Oba Babatunde's in it as well. He directed the second half of it, the second leg of the film. Takia Crystal Kama, who was in Living Color for years, wonderful actress. She's one of our producers as well, executive producers. We just have, I can't wait for people to see this, and it's going to open in 6 different markets. And by the way, the website is revivalthemovie.com. And there they can see the updates, but it's going to open in 25 theaters. And if it goes well, and it seemed to go well before, in our opening run in December, at the Museum of the Bible and in a few select cities, got a great response. It was like, let's release it at Easter. This is an Easter show. Perfect. So April 19th, around there, that's when they're going to have it in theaters. But people can check the revivalthemovie.com to specifically see what theaters it's in, and also to request it if you want it to come to your city. I think that this film will definitely encourage and refresh people, and even challenge them to give things a second thought.
Kirk Taylor plays Simon Peter in Revival. Revival opens in select cities across the U.S. the weekend of April 19th. More information, revivalthemovie.com. Before we started recording, we're talking, it is the greatest story ever told. And Molly plays Jesus in Revival. Now, other actors before him have played Jesus. Do you have a favorite movie Jesus other than Molly, of course?
Yeah, I mean, the work that Jim Caviezel did in The Passion of the Christ with Mel Gibson is pretty transcendent. And his craft, Molly is new to the world of acting, but did a wonderful job. That got a great performance out of him. But what Jim Caviezel did was pretty transcendent. He even said, at one point, Mel Gibson said to him, are you really ready for this? And he said, yeah. He kept asking, he says, are you really ready for this? He said, yeah. He said, but are you really ready for it? He said, yes. He said, I've been preparing my whole life and career for this moment. He said, oh, no, I didn't mean that. I know that. That's why I chose you. I'm talking about the backlash you may get, because we're putting out a film about the embraced or rejected Messiah. The whole first church was Jews, so many Jews embraced him. Many Jews who read the scriptures, who reasoned. They said there were others, that Paul would present it, and that there was a group, I think it's Thessalonica?
Yeah.
They said, search the scriptures to see whether or not what Paul said was true. In other words, what's the standard? It's just my opinion. I don't feel he is, or I don't want him to be, or I didn't like the fact that he healed somebody on the Sabbath, on the Shabbat. You can't heal on Shabbat. So it's a controversial guy. And Mel Gibson knew that Jim Caviezel, it could hurt his career, and I think it did for a little while. But he said that there are things that happened on set. Even I think Jim Caviezel got struck by lightning on the cross.
I did not know that, but that's
got struck by lightning.
Wow!
Come on now, paying your dues.
Yeah.
But he was able to bring a life and a humanity to Jesus. Yeah. Even the scene with his mother, Mary, where he splashes water at her and runs out. And you have to say, oh, right, yeah. It says Jesus was like us. I mean, he was tempted in every way like us, and he was a human. He had a life. He had a father. He lost it. He dealt with all the things we deal with. He dealt with a lot. Can you imagine Jesus, the Son of God, who has come to the realization that he's the Messiah, that this is his destiny. This is what's written in Scripture about where he was going to be born, what he was going to do, his life and ministry, the healings, everything. And yet Father God lets his earthly dad die. Can you imagine the temptation that we all go through, which is to blame God and get mad at him? We've all been there.
Yeah.
If we're honest. We'll say, why did you let that happen? Why would you let that? You could have stopped that. You could have done something. And yet God still stands there with love in his eyes. In fact, he stands by you, sometimes with his arm around you. You don't realize it, to say, I understand. I understand.
Yeah.
It's a broken world. I didn't design it this way. So the fact that Jesus was tempted in every way, he was tempted at one point to say something to God about it. Or, just like he wanted to live. He just said, Father, you could have stopped this, but Lord, not your will. Not my will, but your will. You could have kept my father alive, Father. You could have kept my dad, Joseph, alive. He's a good man, but not my will.
On the line with us is Kirk Taylor. Kirk plays Simon Peter in Revival. Revival, an upcoming musical film produced by and starring Harry Lennox that is based on the gospel according to John. Revival is now showing in select theaters across the United States. For more information, to find out if it's going to come to a theater near you, go to revivalthemovie.com, revivalthemovie.com. We'll talk some more with Kirk Taylor in just a second. In the meantime, this being Easter weekend, a reminder that our second hour will include an encore presentation of our conversation with Paul Green about the life and career of Jeffrey Hunter. Jeffrey Hunter, of course, the actor who played Jesus in the classic 1961 motion picture King of Kings, directed by Nicholas Ray. We'll replay our conversation with Paul Green about Jeffrey Hunter in our second hour. In the meantime, we'll take a quick time out, then we'll continue our conversation with Kirk Taylor when we come back on TV Confidential. Got a product or service that you want our listeners to know about? Become an advertiser or underwriter of TV Confidential and let our brand help promote your brand. For more information, go to televisionconfidential.com/advertise or visit the TV Confidential page at advertisecast.com.
Uber is the mobile app that connects you with a driver for immediate transportation. Request a ride at the tap of a button and you have a driver curbside in minutes. You can choose to be driven in a black car, SUV, or you can choose UberX, the low-cost Uber for a ride in a hybrid or mid-range car. Payment is seamless and cashless. Billed to your card on file with no need to tip. Enter the promo code TV Confidential after you download the app to receive a free first ride up to $20. For more information, go to get.uber.com/go/TV Confidential.
Ham Caricatures will keep the fun rolling at your next party, convention, or event through a live video feed. As friends or colleagues gather around the webcam, I can see them on my screen, and they can view my caricatures come to life on their own screen. The completed black and white drawing will then be emailed to you to print out. Pricing and details are at hamcamcaricatures.com. That's HAMCAMCARICATURES.com.
Buying or selling a home can be one of the most stressful things we'll ever do in life. But it doesn't have to be. And no one knows better than our friends at Front Porch Realty Group. They're a community of realtors serving the Northern Bay Area of California that cares about their clients as individuals first and foremost. Whether you're a first-time buyer or looking to lease or sell your property in the Bay Area, Front Porch Realty Group will help you through this important transition by providing you with the right information for your situation while lessening the pain. They also work with a network of realtors throughout California who provide the same high caliber of customer service. Call Front Porch Realty Group at 415-886-7411 for a realtor referral near you. You can also visit their website, frontporchrealtygroup.com, for more information on the services they provide, including upcoming workshops and seminars. For more information, call 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com. Front Porch Realty Group, They'll find the solution that works best for you.
Alexa users, you can now listen to TV Confidential on your smart speaker just by saying, Alexa, play TV Confidential. Enabling the TV Confidential Alexa skill is easy. To find out how to do it, go to televisionconfidential.com/Alexa.
Hi, this is Richard Pryor Jr., and you're listening to TV Confidential.
Not your will be done, not my will.
Ed Robertson with a reminder that we will replay our conversation about the life and career of Jeffrey Hunter beginning at the top of the hour as part of our special Easter weekend program. We hope you'll stay tuned for that. In the meantime, our guest this hour is Kirk Taylor. Kirk Taylor plays Simon Peter in Revival, the new musical film produced by and starring Harry Lennox that is based on the Gospel according to John. Revival is now showing in select theaters across the United States. For more information, to find out if it's going to come to a theater near you, go to revivalthemovie.com. You can follow Kirk Taylor on Twitter and Instagram at I am Kirk Taylor, facebook.com/Kirk Taylor fan page, KirkTaylorofficial.com. You mentioned Robert Schuller a little while ago. I remember watching him on CNN like the day, maybe 2 days after 9/11. And
Really?
he was asked to answer the eternal question,
Yes.
why would God allow something like 9/11 to happen? And I've never forgotten his answer, which was,
What did he say?
which was essentially, forget the act of evil itself. The presence of God is manifest in the first responders at Ground Zero and the outreach of, so many people across the country to help others, to show comfort to others. He said that is the presence of God.
Wow.
And I've never forgotten that. And there have been many, I have a friend who, his wife had an aneurysm, and he happened to be on the phone with her when it happened. And because he was on the phone, he was able to respond and get paramedics to her within minutes, and that kept her alive. And, I've reminded him that's another example of the presence of God, because had you not been on the phone with her, the outcome would have been much different, but you were.
Oh, yes, because he would be tempted to say, Lord, why did you let my wife have to go through this?
Yeah.
Why did we have to deal with this? Why did you have to allow her to deal with such fear and such damage in her body and her mind? Mm-hmm. That's the temptation. But I guess the question, too, Ed, is it easier to be concerned about the things you don't have, or is it easier to be thankful for the things you do have? Because very often we're challenged with that.
Yeah.
Where we're upset about what we don't have, but we don't stop to see what we do have. Like, for instance, with 9/11, I forget how many people was it how many thousand passed that died in that crash?
I think
3,000?
I think 3,000, yeah.
It was 3,000. Well, if that plane had crashed in an hour later, it would have doubled.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we look at, David Wilkerson, who's a pastor was in New York, evangelist there, very well known for his book, The Cross and the Switchblade, which Pat Boone and Eric Estrada made into a film. Mm-hmm. A month or so before 9/11, he was a praying man. He says, Beloved, I don't know what's going on, but something is coming. And we're going to shut down all the other ministries, and we're going to pray for the next month. So they were praying against something that they knew was happening, and it could have been so much worse. It's hard to say that when you have lost 3,000 people. How tragic is that to have someone stolen from you, someone who's innocent, did nothing. But at the same time, you're right, God's grace is demonstrated there, and we have the choice always of being, the half full or half empty person. It's the same amount of water.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same amount of water. So what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that you're thinking about the person who's half empty is thinking about what they don't have. I wish I had a full glass. Why do I get a half a glass? You know how thirsty I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thirsty. And the other person saying, wow, this is half more than I had.
That's right.
I got a half a glass of water.
That's right.
And I've had that kind of like little small tidbits of revelation where it's like, wow, just thankfulness in the moment. How about thankful that you can breathe? Mm-hmm. How about just people starting with just expressing you don't believe God is there? Just start thinking the possibility. Here's the possibility that maybe he's there. If he is there, well, if you're there, thank you for this.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thankfulness really is not only an attractive thing, but an attracting thing, right? When someone's thankful, you know how it is. When someone's thankful, don't you want to give them more? They're saying, "Oh, Ed, thank you for that. Oh my gosh, that is so wonderful. Thank you for thinking of me." You're like, "I wish I had gotten you more." I'm gonna buy some. I'm getting something next year too.
Yeah,
because people like to feel appreciated, and thankfulness attracts even more blessings. It's attractive, and I think that it's a magnet for God. It's a magnet for God if people can walk in thanksgiving of the little things they do have. Let's just thank God for the sunshine here in California. Man, it hardly ever rains here. We had the rainiest season recently than we've had in, I think I said 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And for the first time since 2011, we're out of the drought. We've been in the drought since 2011. That's been 8 years. We're out of the drought. How about you can be complaining about the rain,
mm-hmm.
or you could be thanking God for the rain. It's just a matter of perspective and trying to adjust your perspective to an attitude of gratitude, of being thankful for what you do have. It's hard. I know it's hard because we're bombarded by stuff, sensory things, and people are trying to sell us this, and we got this issue and this problem. And that's why it says, one of the scriptures says, He will keep you in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on Him. That as you put your mind on things above, and as you dwell in thankfulness, and just, we sing about people denying that there is a spirit realm, and just pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Be open to the opportunities. As the signposts come, as the door opens, go through prayerfully, considering being wise in all things, but don't be afraid to step out and be daring. That's what Peter did. Peter said, "Listen, it's a ghost on the water," they said. And he said, "No, don't be afraid, it's me." He said, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come out on the water. Just say it. I'll do it. Come on out." And he started walking. Got distracted, like we all do, by the wind and waves of life. But Peter walked on water. That was a fun scene to shoot. Stop the movie. It was fun. We did it differently. We did it like a stage version where they had like strips of fabric on the ground that they were moving as if it was water,
mm-hmm.
and they cut it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people over at Tri-Coast Productions, our distributor from Australia, they were like, one of the guys said, "No, no, put it back in."
Yeah.
And especially because of what it does for my character, because I'm the one walking on water. So that was my moment, and I grabbed, because I played it as if Simon Peter wasn't down with Jesus at first. I mean, not to play it like, okay, I'm an instant convert, but my brother Andrew was following John the Baptist, and
right.
He follows everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just watch out for him. I'm not buying this Messiah stuff. And at that point, I do. And I had a line that was written. I added something, but it said basically Adonai, which means Lord in Hebrew. I said, "You're the Messiah. You're the Son of God." So I added something, a tag at the end of that. But it was a beautiful moment that they added back in, and I'm very proud and very honored and thankful that I was chosen to do this role. And I feel it's a role that literally, from a dead womb where I would have been to play in this film, I believe it was ordained, that it was something that I was meant to do, and just so privileged and happy. And Ed, I have no idea. Again, I'm in that place like I was after Angriest Man in Brooklyn, where it's like, or before Angriest Man in Brooklyn. I don't know what the next step is. I'm continuing to record. I'm continuing to train. I'm auditioning for things. With this organization with manager called Gem Entertainment Group, and so there we're digging in. We're going in, looking into possibilities for stage and television and film. But it's one of those things. The actors, it's the blank canvas for the painter. It's the blank sheet of paper for the writer. There's that moment where you sit there and you're like, what in the world are we going to do next?
And if you're a person of faith as you are and as I am, you ask, okay, I hope I make the right decision. Or you make the decision believing that it will be a good decision, and if it isn't, give me the wisdom to make the adjustment that I need to.
Yes, to course correct. Yeah. Yes, that's big, because I know that a lot of people who really do want to please God are hesitant to step out because of the tenderness of their hearts toward Him. I don't want to offend Him. I don't want to make Him look bad. I don't want to make a mistake. I want to do it perfect. Well, sometimes you can't know that until you step out on the water. Remember in one of the Raiders of the Lost Ark films, Harrison Ford was told to step forward, and there was nothing under his feet. He was going to fall into an abyss. And somehow, I don't know if it was a voice that said to him or he remembered something, but as he stepped out, the path became real. Do you remember that moment?
I don't, but I'll look for that the next time I see Raiders of the Lost Ark. I have 1,000 other questions about your work and your career other than Revival. I hope you will join us again one of these days on TV Confidential.
You can call me anytime. I would love to be on your show again. And for the listeners, too, just in case they do look up those, KirkTaylorOfficial.com or, I am Kirk Taylor. It's Kirk. I have family members, Ed, that still call me Kurt. One calls me Curtis. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to stop fighting that. But it's Kirk Taylor, KirkTaylor official.com, and the I am Kirk Taylor's, and Facebook at Kirk Taylor fan page, so now people know. And Kirk means, by the way, of the church, or dweller by the church. So my father gave me that name. He didn't know why at first. We talked about it. He said, I think I had a friend named Kirk. I said, well, Dad, that was a good name, man. That was a good name.
Well, it's a good name. You're a good man. You're a good actor and a great teacher, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you so much, Ed. I look forward to that, too.
Kirk Taylor plays Simon Peter in Revival, the new musical film produced by and starring Harry Lennox that is based on the Gospel according to John. Revival is now showing in select theaters across the United States. For more information, to find out if it's going to come to a theater near you, go to revivalthemovie.com. You can follow Kirk Taylor on Twitter and Instagram at I am Kirk Taylor, Facebook.com/Kirk Taylor fan page, KirkTaylorOfficial.com, where we play our conversation with Paul Green and Mary Anderson about the life and career of Jeffrey Hunter when we come back for hour number 2 of TV Confidential. Stay with us.
If you haven't been listening to TV Confidential, this is who you're missing.
Michelle Nichols,
Adrienne Barbeau,
Leonard Maltin,
Joyce Bullisan,
Peter Onorati,
Judy Norton,
Ken Berry,
Rhonda Shear,
Michelle Lee,
Jacqueline Smith,
Lou Antonio,
Shirley Jones,
And many, many more of your favorite celebrities and people behind the scenes in the world of television. That's TV Confidential. Every week on this station and every day online at televisionconfidential.com.
Got a product or service that you want our listeners to know about? Become an advertiser or underwriter of TV Confidential and let our brand help promote your brand. For more information, go to televisionconfidential.com/advertise or visit the TV Confidential page at advertisecast.com.
Accredited by Guinness World Records, welcome to Archival Television Audio Incorporated, a peerless TV soundtrack archive, preserving the audio from television's first 3 decades, the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, the golden and silver age of television.
For more information, go to atvaudio.com.
Want a free first ride with Uber? Uber, the mobile app that connects you with a ride at the touch of a button in minutes. Enter promo code TV Confidential after you download the app to receive your first free ride up to $20. For more information, go to get.uber.com/go/TV Confidential.
Alexa users, you can now listen to TV Confidential on your smart speaker just by saying, Alexa, play TV Confidential. Enabling the TV Confidential Alexa skill is easy. To find out how to do it, go to televisionconfidential.com/Alexa.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty Group, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay Area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.